that's God willing. I'm trying to change the world, gotta teach the children. I ain't never letting up, I gotta stack a billion. Stay away from the fake like they reptilian. Hill game on the rise, know we all killing. I got blood in my eyes and I can't see.
Yo, what's good, everybody? And so I just wanted to hurt you guys' ears, and let's get into the video. And so a quick summary: UA Sports Festival is there, and Mirko, the bunny hero, has decided to watch it, and so she decides to go in person and arrive there. And so Mirko sits down with a few carrots in her hands, and so she sees Todoroki's Todoroki, son of a Dever, going to first place. And then she sees this Bakugo kid, and she thinks he has good guts and is like loud and strong-willed, but she thinks he's too overconfident and acts like a villain. And then she sees this kid, Izuku Midoriya, and she sees him digging up these mines, and she looks in interest. And then she sees him about to jump on it, and then she smiles. He's just like her when she was a kid. And so he jumps on it, and then she sees him fly up in the air and zoom past people. Then she cheers and says, "Go Izuku, go!" And like happy and outspoken. And then people stare at her, and then she glares back at them, daring them to say something. And so then they just shut up and turn around, acting like they don't think she's crazy. And so then she thinks, "What are you gonna do, Izuku?" And so then she sees him jump onto both of Bakugo's and Todoroki's shoulders, and she thinks, he's going to hit the ground. But then she sees him hit it with the armor, and then he explodes even farther. Then she says, "This is interesting." And so then Deku flies all the way, and then he's in the foot race. And she just thinks, will he make it? And then she sees he makes it, and then the whole crowd cheers and she cheers. Then she sits down blushing at how intense the battle got. And so after Deku gets his team, Mirko looks in anger. Why do they need to rely on a team's power just to do something? You don't have to rely on your own strength to be strong. But then she just ignores that, and so then when it goes the same basically, like nothing's new that happens. And so yeah. And so this time it's going to be a little different for when he faces that mind guy. When he's facing this mind guy, something happens. When the 8 shadows appear, instead of him flicking, this green lightning appears over his body. And so then Deku looks at his arms and thinks, my quirk's not building in my muscles for an attack. It's continuously burning in my skin. Maybe I'll try this more. Maybe my bones aren't breaking. So this Deku is at 5%, and it's the full cowling. And so then Nana Shimura smiles at him and says, "Good job." And then this bald guy gives him a thumbs up and says, "Go, kid." And so then Deku rushes at the mind quirk guy, and then he punches him into the wall, knocking him out. And so the crowd is amazed at the show of pure strength, and Mirko holds her heart thinking, that was a close one, Izuku. And so then she smiles at his nervousness, but then scowls. Why does he get nervous? How's he that nervous with a quirk that strong? And so then she just huffs and sit down, tapping her foot impatiently. And so when it reaches Izuku's match again, Izuku has been trying to access his power, and right before he was about to go out there, he was able to tap into it and smiles and says, I guess I'll just have to wing it. And so then when Todoroki starts, Izuku just turns it on, and so he's just running around. He's basically just running around with it, and so he sees the 3 seconds thing, and so then he falls for it and gets iced, and so then he uses his quirk by just putting more power into it and breaks the ice, and so then he yells, Todoroki, it's not your father's quirk, it's yours. And so then Todoroki gets a realization, and then he sees Izuku smiling, and so Mirko smiles, and the bleachers is she thinks he's just like me, smiles in the face of danger. Then she licks her lips, and the heroes beside her take a step back away from her, thinking Mirko has gone crazy. And so then and so then Deku says because I want to become just like All Might, and I want to become the #1 hero. I want to become the symbol of peace. And so then he amps his quirk up to 8%, and then the whole crowd gets shocked about the power. And so then Todoroki gets ready for the clash that they're about to have. And so Deku rushes at him with his fist, and Todoroki is just about to hit him with his quirk. And then puts up an ice sleep behind him, and then shoots a wave of fire and ice at him. And so then Deku says 10%. 10%. What's it called? Yeah, D plus Ultra. Detroit. Smash! And punches the ice. And then Deku thinks this isn't enough. And so then he amps it up to 15% and feels his bones start creaking. And so then he decides to settle with that. And so then he's using more power. But then something happens. He feels all of the 8 one-for-all users before him give him each balls of colors. And then it goes into his hand. And then he says, plus Ultra, and punches through Todoroki, and then leaves a devastating punch to Todoroki, and hitting him against the wall. And then the wall creaks, and then Todoroki slumps, knocked out. And Endeavor is like, how did he beat Todoroki? Todoroki used both my fire and ice. How? And then he looks at Izuku in anger, and he thinks, that kid. And so Mirko smiles in happiness, thinks he won. And so Izuku goes to the break room and even starts resting, and then he sees the #8 here, Mirko, and then he gets his book and says, will you please sign this, Mirko-san? And so then she smiles at him, and she sees his ideas, and she sees his idea of getting another style. And so Deku sees that she's looking at that part and says, oh, there's nothing bad about the style you use, but it's based on being a bunny, and so it'll be better to use other styles and to use more kick combination and kick moves, and also gain more upper body strength instead of using your legs. Or you do have the upper body strength, Mirko-san, but you don't use it. And so, she nods at him and says, good idea. And so then she smiles at him and says, welp, see ya, Midoriya. And, hope I see you later. And she smiles and thinks, maybe I will try to get another style. It might help in the future. Cough, cough. Your arm getting ripped off and part of your ear. But anyways, we won't talk about that. And so, well, what are we going to talk about? Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about, Bakugo versus... No, it's, Deku versus Lita. And so Lita is basically the underdog for this one. And so Lita, after fighting a Deku that's faster than him, tries to do a reciprocal burst to end it quickly. But then Deku, when he sees this, he then jumps up in the air and says, Manchester Smash. And right when Lita was about to arrive there, he gets a kick down to his face, and it hits Lita's face right to the ground, knocking him out. And so the crowd roars at the show of just strength. And so now it's Bakugo versus Deku. And Bakugo bumps Deku's shoulder and says, I won't lose to you, Deku. And you better try. I will be the indisputable number one. And so Bakugo gets... Then Deku nods and says, by the way, it wasn't broad power, Bakugo. This is my power. And Bakugo gets even more mad and says, how dare you talk to me like that, Deku? And says, I'll kill you. You'll die. And so then Bakugo walks off like a madman. And so once that happens, well, it's time for the match. And so Bakugo then runs at, like right when it starts, he runs at Deku and explosions, and Deku runs back, and Deku tries to dodge all of his explosions, and then he amps up to 6%, getting a higher speed, and is able to keep up with Bakugo, matching fist for fist and hand for hand. And so then Bakugo says, I had enough of this, and then creates a whole explosion wave coming right at Deku. But then Deku says one, and then he uses his hand and then swipes the explosions away, and then right behind Deku there's tons of explosions popping, and so then Bakugo says, I'll end this right now. And then he says, Howitzer, whatever. Howitzer Blitz or something. And then he starts spinning and then ignites explosion in it. And so then Deku knows that this might hurt his arm even more. But then says, 20%. One for 20%. And then he says, sorry, Mirko, but I'm going to use one of your moves, and says, Lunar Arc, he yells. And then Mirko gets up wanting to see this, and the pro heroes look at Mirko in interest, and then Deku runs right at Bakugo, and getting through all its spins, and kicks Bakugo, and also getting scorched, and they both hit out of bounds. And so then they have to review the tape for like 30 minutes. It takes them. And so then it says that Bakugo got hit out first. Therefore, Izuku Midoriya being in first place. Now that's up. And so then Bakugo kicks and screams, says, "You won by luck, Deku. I won't. This is not true." And so then that Midnight has to knock him out. And yeah. And so Deku gets first place. And uh, everybody's just happy of the match. And yeah. And so um, All Might tells Deku good job and says, um, and I suggest you, if Mirko gives you an apprenticeship, join. She could help you, maybe with your legs, and you could probably help her with her upper body. And he smiles and says, "Well, see you, young Midoriya, and see you, young Katsuki Bakugo, and let's go." And so, well, a week later, after Bakugo calms down and stuff, Bakugo still is mad at Deku. And so Bakugo walks up to Deku when he gets into class and says, "I won't let you beat me again, Deku. And I will be the indisputable winner." And so Katsuki snarls and walks back to a seat. And the class says, "That was an amazing match, Deku. How'd you get so strong? How'd you control your quirk?" And Deku says, I lowered the amount of power I used in my quirk, and um and so Mr. Aizawa walks in and says, "Well, that's very smart of you, Izuku Midoriya. But now sit in your seats." And so um Mr. Aizawa then says, "You guys have to pick hero names." And so then Deku thinks, I want to have something that's closer to Miruko's name. And so he thinks, I want Dekiriro. It's basically the opposite of Deku. Like, you can look it up. The opposite is Dekiriro. Or let me look it up. It's pronounced something else, but yeah. It's pronounced something else, but yeah. Yeah, the other word is Dekiru or Dekiru. I don't know. But yeah, Mirko, Dekiru or Dekiru, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? 3 milli. Okay. Well, anyways, Deku then smiles and then he and then Aizawa gives Deku all these letters and stuff and says, "Congratulations, you got the most UA letters." But then at the top he sees number 8 hero, Mirko, and like under it shows Endeavor. And so Deku says, "I think that Miracle could help me the best," and says, "So I'll be going with Miracle." And then Mineta in his usual fashion says, "You get to go with what's his name? What's her name? What's her name? Miracle? Deku, you're so lucky. I'll be going with Mount Lady." And so then Deku rolls his eyes at Mineta's obviously perviness. And so Uraraka says, "I'll be going with Gunshot." And so Deku smiles at her and nods. And so he gets ready. So a week later, they go to Deku goes to Miruko's place. And so she smiles at him and says, "Thank you for picking me, Deku." And she smiles at him. And so or Deku. And so and so then she says, "Well, let's get to work." And so then Deku is like, "Okay," in the shy manner. And she says, first thing we'll do is training." And so then Deku goes into this huge workout room and sees tons of dumbbells, leg press stuff, and like those things that work on your legs. Yeah. And bench press stuff. And so she says you'll be benching over 100 pounds every day, and we'll be running in the mornings around the whole city. And Deku widens his eyes. The whole city? And she nods and says, well, let's get to work. And so, um, after Deku finishes all this, he's tired and exhausted. He felt like that he ran from Tokyo, all like the whole of Tokyo, but he really didn't. And so then she puts him where he'll be sleeping and smiles. You did good, Deku. And so she then goes, and so then she picks up one of her books, and then she thinks, another style. And so she thinks, what style will I do? Fighting styles. I'm sorry, but I don't really know. In Japan. I'm sorry. I don't even know, man. Okay. She will learn judo. Yes, she'll learn judo. I don't know. Judo sounds best. And so, no, she'll learn aikido. It works on arm throws and stuff. And so she starts focusing on that to be able to throw people and stuff. And so yeah. And so after she gets done training, she goes to sleep. And so she does the same with Deku more. And so then after 2 days, she gives Deku a rest day on day 3. And she says, now we'll be going out to fight villains tonight. And we're going to be going to the same place we went originally. And she says also you'll be able to use your powers and stay with me unless you find something, and then text me. And so Izuku nods and she smiles and says, well, get some rest. We'll have a lot to do. And so that day, Deku literally slept. He hasn't been sleeping a lot, and his legs were on fire. And so after he got done sleeping and stuff, his legs felt better, and he went for a stretch. And Deku has gotten really stronger. Well, doing tons of workouts and stuff with Mirko gives you that. And she also taught him some moves, you could say, that also helped Deku. And so, yeah. And so, well, now, Deku, what's Deku gonna do? What's he gonna do? You're absolutely right what he's about to do. Deku is about to, what's he about to do? Oh, yeah. He is about to fight. What's that guy's name that fought Lita? That killed Lita's brother? He was a mercenary. I don't know. I think I know, but I don't know. And so I'll call him Hero Killer. Yep, that's his name anyways. Hero Killer. And so Deku asks Mirko to go get some heroes, and Lita's probably going to be finding Hero Killer. And so she nods and says, I'll be keeping track of your thing, and then once you beat me when you arrive there, and I'll be right on the way. And so he nods, and she goes to help out some heroes. And so, once that happens, Deku, he finds Lita and beeps for Mirko, and so they get into a heated battle. And so Deku. Then for the final hit, instead of doing that, he does a Luna arc to hit um this guy, and so then he grabs him and then slams him into the ground, knocking him out. And so um this time Deku's way smarter, and with another hero like Mirko that's very fast. What happened with Hero Killer doesn't happen, and instead of the whole people getting it, actually, since there's no burn marks, Deku gets the fame. Yes, he gets the fame. And so, the cops would just say, like, they don't know that Lita were there and stuff. And so, it's going to be all for Deku, all the fame and stuff. And so, yeah. And so now everybody in Tokyo knows about a UA 1A student defeating the hero killer. And even now his whole team, like his whole class knows it, and is like and is amazed that Deku's now a star basically. And so he is unofficially like a hero now in Tokyo. And a celebrity, and Mirko smiles at Deku, thinking, "You're on your first ways to becoming a hero, Deku, and I'll be with you on your journey." And so then she says, for the final 3 days, we'll be doing more strength training, and we'll be focusing on bringing up the power of your quirk. And so he nods, and so she gets to work, and she helps him perfect this Luna arc he's been trying to attempt, and some other stuff. And so now he is able to, with the help of a hero, and after a week of this, which is like, what, 4 more days? Yeah, I think 4. I don't know. I'm not doing the math. He's able to get to 12%. He was at first able to go up to 8% with his bones creaking, and so now he's able to go up to 12%. No, 10%. I'm going to give him 10% with 12% his bones creaking. And so Deku and Mirko has also gotten closer, now on the friendly base, and he learned her name was actually Rumi, with that last you name. I'm not saying you just ologies or whatever. Bro, I'm not psychopathic. And so she has also gotten a liking to Deku. And this will build up, of course, and stuff. And so on the last day, when Deku's taking a shower, she accidentally walks in and blushes. She sees Deku with a 6-pack, and his thighs are now like way more built, and so Deku basically looks way stronger. And like it's more bulky, but you don't get that much built in a week, and so it's more of a bulky more, you could say. And so yeah. And so Mirko smiles, and then she gives him a towel blushing, and he blushes too, getting a crush on Mirko. And so she says bye, oh, and she says, oh, and when you have time, meet me here whenever you can. And then she sees Deku leave with a fond smile. And so every single day, they either talked or hung out. And so Mirko has also started to like Deku even more with their just random conversations. If you're really trying to hear what what do you want me to say? Like they're talking about what happens in school and schoolwork and stuff. Just getting to know each other better. And so now Mirko is an outspoken person and is brave and acts out Deku blushing, and he nods frantically, saying, yes, yes. And so she smiles. Then she picks up Deku and kisses him. And then she smiles, and yeah. And so